Hey YouTube, how's it going? I just bought a new tractor and I thought I would do a quick review on my first impressions of this beauty. This is a Case Farmall 2020. It's a 75C model. Has the 620 L620 loader on the front, and I'll just do a quick walk around here so you can kind of see what this thing looks like. And I've got some company here. Hey Siri, how's it going? So it's got a category 2 3-point hitch on the back with 2 remote hydraulics. And right now the top link's off because I'm going to do another video on just some of the modifications that I'm going to be doing to this thing. So I'm going to put a hydraulic top link on it. I may do a hydraulic tilt as well, but I probably won't right away. And the reason is I'm going to run my skid steer attachments on the back, and I'll show more of that later in a separate video. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick video here of initial impressions of this thing. Just got it the other day, and I have the R4 tires on it. They are filled with fluid. I'll just do a quick walk around. So this bucket right here is not the bucket that came with the tractor. I have that at the other farm here. This bucket is one of my skid loader buckets, and it's a 4-in-1 bucket. And the reason I brought this over here to my house was because I'm going to put this on the back of the tractor. At least that's the hope. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. I've got some ideas for how to use this thing as a neat carry-all and box blade and bulldozer blade on the back, all in one. So yeah, I'll be testing that out. And I've got the peanut gallery over here making noise. The cat seems to like the tractor pretty well. It keeps them warm. All right, so let's talk about some of the reasons why I got this tractor and not another tractor. I was looking at Kubotas, I was looking at Coyotes, I was looking at John Deere's, and I found this particular tractor gave the most horsepower with all of the right things that I was looking for, and it had the best price by far. So just wanted to point out, I bought this with my own money. It did not get any, and this is not sponsored at all. This is the first time I've ever bought a Case tractor before. So yeah, so this will be a very unbiased review, and I'll tell you everything I like and I don't like so far on it. And again, it's only been one day since I've had this. So one of the reasons I picked this tractor is it has this, the third function hydraulics down here. But what I found, so all my skid steer attachments have these, and I believe they might be like 3/4 inch quick couplers. Now, if you put these next to the ones that came on the tractor, you see they're different size. I think those might be like 1/2 inch, but they don't fit. So I'm gonna have to switch those connectors out, but at least it's all plumbed, so I'll be able to use all my skid steer attachments on this. But yes, that was another reason too, is this has the quick attach on the front. My initial impression of just lining up a loader with quick attach is it's not super easy to get your skid steer attachments on. Like with the skid steer, you're sitting right there in front of the attachment, and you can see where the pickups go, and you can line it up like right in here. I did not, it took me a minute to figure that out because you just don't have the visibility from the cab to see that. Other reasons I like this tractor, the quick disconnect loader. I will show how that works, but you basically put these legs down here, you lift it up, you put these legs down, and you pull these pins out, and you back up and you drive away. So that's pretty nice. This little toolbox is pretty cool, just because you know, you can keep all your pins and adapters for your hitch in here. I will say though, it's pretty cheesy and cheap. I wish they would have made it a little bit more sturdy one. I have a feeling this is going to get broken. And yeah, so what else on the outside here? Oh, this tractor has about, I think it's like 2,800 pounds of lift on the loader with this particular L620 loader. And the 3-point hitch on the back, I believe it's like 3,800, maybe right around 4,000 pounds of lift at the pins, or sorry, 24 inches out past the pins. So this one lifts a lot more than the other tractors I was looking at in sort of the similar price range. This is pretty cool too. This is a way to raise and lower the lift arms on the hitch from the back. And so you just pull this thing out, put this pin in here. You can kind of see there's little notches, and it allows you to lower it down. They go down slowly, and as a safety mechanism, you have to then advance a little bit forward and then go again, and it lowers it just an inch or two at a time. And this way you just keep going over and over and down, and that's, I think it must be for safety, so you know, no one gets hurt if there's a big attachment or anything on it. The other thing I've noticed, and this is for, you know, this may seem like a stupid thing if you are a tractor guy, which I'm not. This is my second tractor I've had. The previous one I had was a Cub Cadet. That was about a 25 horsepower tractor, and I sold that because I did a lot of work in the woods, and I do not like to work on tractors in the woods just because you're sitting up really high and the trees and limbs are everywhere, you know, hitting you. And tractors have a higher center of gravity, and you can flip out of them easier as well. So I don't know, I've always felt more comfortable in skid steer where you have a cage around you, steel cage, where look at all this glass, you know, this is a tough thing to take through the woods. So I will take it on my trails that are nice and cleared out for forwarding logs and things like that. But the primary reason I got this tractor was to do hay work. We have about anywhere from 20 to 30 acres of land that's in hay, and currently we have someone else bale it for us. I wanted to start baling it, and I needed a tractor that had enough PTO horsepower to run a disc cutter and a baler and things like that. So this has 65 PTO horsepower, and that's pretty good for most hay attachments if you get them on the small side. You can't get a big round baler on this. The tractor's just not big enough. You can get a small one maybe. And disc cutters take more horsepower than sickle bars, and I'm planning to get a disc arm mower here that just fits on the 3-point. But yes, on the topic of these quick connects on the back, these are like ball quick connects or valve quick connects. They're not the same style as what's on a skid steer. So for me to use my skid steer attachments on the back, I'm gonna have to figure something out, an adapter for these. But that was something I wasn't aware of until I bought this. So for you out there who might be considering a compact tractor and aren't familiar with the differences between tractors and skid steers, I've noticed just hydraulic connections, that's one of them. All right, so let's take a look inside the cab, and you can see that it is still, it still has the plastic over the seats, and I'll probably leave that on there for a while. But one of the coolest things about this tractor and this size and price range is it includes this cool little buddy seat here. It's called a buddy seat, and so it allows you to take a person with you to instruct them on how to drive it, or if you're like me and you have kids who want to ride in a tractor, it gives them a nice place to sit, and there's even a seat belt. So let's hop in here for a second. And one of the things that really struck me about this was how nice this cab is. It's a large cab. Two, it's just finished pretty well for the price range here. and I'll put everything, like the price I paid for it and all the different places I looked and different price ranges. But I'll tell you that when you're shopping for any equipment or, like skid steers, tractors, things like that, the MSRP prices make no sense. Like, they're way off. MSRP on this thing was about $64,000, and I paid $44,999 for it. And it's just, the dealers that were offering prices on this thing, there were differences by $10,000, and I thought that was pretty nuts. So just know that MSRP and those invoice things that they're showing you, those are, a lot of times it just seems like made up numbers, and I don't even know where the 64,000 comes from. Obviously it's a stretch goal for the manufacturer and the dealer. So let's take a look here inside the cab. Some cool things. It's got a sun visor that is pretty neat. It just pulls down, and you press a button up over here and it sends it back up. There is no skylight in this one, and I did not want a skylight because it gets too hot in here with the skylight. And I do feel like the curve on the window here gives you plenty of room to see your loader when you're loading. Some other things that are cool, like there's actual door handle on the inside and outside of this tractor. You notice with the Kubotas, they don't include like door handles on the outside, which is really weird. But it's nice to just reach in for things. Even though going in and out over here, while it's possible, it's probably not recommended. The other thing that's cool about this is, this is gonna seem really stupid, but like armrests. So a lot of the tractors, namely I think it was the Kubotas, they didn't even have armrests that come with it. You have to pay extra, and it's just all those little things start to add up. But one nice thing about the slightly bigger tractor here that has a bigger cab, you get windows that open up. And this back window, it's really nice. It opens all the way up, so you can climb in and out of there if you had to. And there's even a little window down here so you can see down into the 3-point area. So close this back up. One other cool thing, this stereo system is actually pretty nice for a stock stereo system. And it's got like Bluetooth and everything that you would need, than you probably expect this day and age. This particular model has a push button 4-wheel drive, so you just flip that to go into 4-wheel drive. It's got the third function right here on the remote. These two buttons will operate like the grapple on the front. This joystick's really nice. I like the location of it. It's got a 12-speed shuttle, power shuttle transmission. So this was new to me, and I know a lot of people who aren't familiar with tractors and who are getting a compact one will have questions about what's the difference between like a hydrostatic transmission, which is what I'm normally used to, and then you get a little nervous about having a tractor transmission with all of these gears, and I'll show you how that all works. It's actually pretty simple and pretty nice for doing field work and stuff like that. Over here, there's a lever that is like a neutral, and then there's forward and reverse. So when you're doing loader work or you're driving around on the roads and things, if you need to like reverse direction, you just slow down and you pull this. You don't have to like shift or change gear or anything. It just changes the machine from going from forward to reverse in the same gear. So that's pretty cool how that works. It's got air conditioning and heat and a lot of nice things just standard on this. The whole console adjusts up and down. So that was cool. And yeah, so let's start this thing up and just kind of show you how it works. So to start this guy, you just had to make sure everything's in neutral, all of these things. Let me make sure that's there. I press the clutch in always, and it's a little cold here, so yeah, you can see I've got almost 5 hours on it, because I added about 3 hours just messing around with it the other day, and then I drove it about 5 miles, and this thing drives really nice on the highway. I was surprised, and I brought my 4-year-old with me, and he rode in this little seat here, and he loved it. So let's just kind of go through the functions here. This big joystick here, you pull back and the loader goes up, and then, you know, side to side tilts the bucket. So standard stuff there. And like I mentioned before, the buttons on the joystick here activate the third function. The way the transmission works, for all of you tractor newbies like me, and hey, my Bluetooth works. I didn't even know I was set up here. That's cool. That's my best friend, Spam. So, yeah, this thing has 3 speed settings. There's a low, medium, and high speed range. And then there are 4 gears in each range, so it gives you a total of 12 speeds. Now, reading the manual, there are here the orange handle here and the orange foot pedal down here control the throttle. So if you're just driving this thing around, you want to keep this throttle in neutral. So at idle, in idle. At idle, this thing is running about 800 RPMs, and the parking brake is down here. Release that before we go anywhere. And so what I found is for most driving around work, you just you put it in the top gear, which is the 3, and then you know, we'll just go with 1 to start out with. So what you do is you just I can let off the clutch here, but I'm not going anywhere, and the reason is this shuttle stick over here is in neutral, and to go forward, I just put it forward, and it that has a slow start. Now, the manual says for doing loader work and just driving the tractor around from place to place, you want to leave the engine at idle on this lever and then use the foot pedal to speed up and accelerate like you're in a car. So we'll just go for a ride up here, I guess. The main torque curve on this tractor is at 1500 RPMs, where it's max torque. So as long as you're running at 1500 or above, you're not really stressing it too much. I got the 25 mile per hour option on this as well. So it goes 25 miles an hour on the road, which is pretty nice. So yeah, you can see it drives pretty well, like a car. The tires are filled with liquid ballast, so it's not as bumpy as it probably is if you don't go that route. And yeah, so let's just take a loop here. And you're noticing, this is the first time I've driven this thing down into my woods, and I just felt a couple tree branches hit the cab. So this is one of the reasons I don't love tractors in the woods, because even on this big wide trail here, I've got a lot of tree limbs that I'm going to have to trim up. So we're going to go over here. But see, you notice I don't have to shift or anything. It's just the tractor staying in gear, but the RPMs are changing. The idle's changing with the foot pedal here. So if I want to slow down, I just let off the foot pedal until it starts creeping along at idle. If I need to stop, I will let it engine brake down to a stop instead of pushing the clutch in. You're supposed to let these things engine brake down, and then you can clutch and brake when you're almost at a complete stop. So one other cool feature about this, here, let me just come to a stop here. So I've got the clutch pushed in, and I just push the brake, and I will take it out of gear, and I let the clutch out. It doesn't go anywhere. So one neat feature that came standard up there on the front on the loader, you'll see that metal bar, that's your leveler. So when this thing, with the stock bucket at least, when this thing goes into that catch right there, it means that the bottom of the bucket is parallel with the road. So if you're grading or doing anything like scooping, you know that your bucket's flat on the ground. So that's pretty cool. That was an extra feature on the other tractors I was looking at, which seems kind of weird because it seemed like something that you'd want standard on a loader tractor. All right. The other nice thing is there's all these vents all around the main dash here, and with all this glass. Yesterday when I first got in this thing, it was cold, really cold, and there was frost all over. So the defrost worked great, and I'm not getting any fogging or anything in here right now. And I don't even have, actually I do have it on setting 1 here, but it's all on cold, even though it's about 30 degrees outside. So let's go continue here our journey. Everything. I gotta say, YouTubing's hard. Driving machines, it's tough to do. Also, I appreciate all the guys that put out videos, because everything you do takes you like 2 to 3 times as long if you want to actually film it for YouTube. So kudos to everybody that does this on a regular basis. So let's get rolling here. Again, now I'm just letting the clutch out, and you can see at idle it creeps forward, and I'm in high range here, so that's pretty cool. We're just gonna go drive this tractor through the field, or a tractor should drive through. All right, there's a little bit of barbed wire here, so I think I'll be all right. All right, and I just had a video where I cleared a tree up here in this corner. Probably need to get this box elder tree out here too. I want to clean up these fence rows because I'm starting to get a lot of overhang on the fields here. But again, this tractor is going to spend its life more over at another property that I have that's a lot flatter. This is very hilly here, and it's got a bunch of hay fields. And it's also where we keep our cows. So this will spend its life primarily over there to make hay and do things like that. It's a little bumpy through this field. But I wanted to do just a review video on this Farmall 75C because I looked for information on this tractor, and I think there's maybe one review on YouTube about it. And it was helpful, but it sounded like a farmer that had a bigger, operation than what I do, and it's probably running a bigger, I think he had a big disc line on it that was probably like a 12-footer. I'm planning to do just a disc mower, not a disc line, a 3-point mounted one that's only 9 foot, and I think that this should be more than plenty for that. I believe it only requires like 55 horsepower at the PTO. So I should be well within the operating range of this. And then the other thing, I've mentioned it, is I wanted to be able to use all my skid steer attachments with this as well. And getting the quick tack bucket and all that stuff and the third remote on the front, this was huge. And I really liked that you can take the loader off very simply. So that was nice. All right, looks like I'm getting some mud on the tires. Nice. But yeah, overall, my initial impressions of this thing, I'm very impressed. Again, I paid 45 grand for it, which isn't cheap, but the little compact utility tractors that I was looking at were all right around $40,000 for a 50 horsepower model. And I know some of the John Deeres that were in the 50 horsepower range, they were like $54,000. They were much more expensive and much smaller. So I know I'm not going to get into a debate of which vendor's the best. I'm not really sold on any particular vendor or anything. I just kind of want to find the best machine that has the specs and is reasonably reliable. The other thing too is I have a Case dealership like 3 miles down the road, and I did not buy from them because it was going to be this same tractor. It was going to be it's yelling at me because it wants me to put the parking brake on. But this tractor was going to be, I think they quoted me at like $53,000 or $54,000, and I was going to have to wait. It's currently, it was the end of November in 2020, and I would have to wait till May of 2021 before I could take shipment. And the main reason is I've been shopping for compact utility tractors, and COVID, I guess a lot of people are moving to the country and stuff and buying machines and buying compact tractors and things. They're like sold out everywhere. I was shocked at that. So yeah, I'm like, well, okay. So I looked all over online and I found this guy in Arkansas, and I live in Wisconsin. And so I was able to ship it from Arkansas to here for $1,500. It's about 680 miles. So not too bad. And all in, I still came in. I was 46. I think I was at like 46.4 something. All in on this thing, and I was well under $8,000 under what I was going to pay for it locally here, which is nuts. And I was going to have to wait another 6 months to get it, so it just didn't really make any sense. So I would strongly advocate going online and not being shy about dealing with some dealerships strictly online, over the phone, things like that, as long as they're reputable and you can find some information on them. I'm actually going to put some more information out there on like the whole buying process and how I negotiated on this tractor. And in fact, I was comparing all different vendors and models that were sort of in the same category. So I will put more information. I want to do a whole video on just like buying equipment in general, online and at your local dealer and things like that. Just stuff I've learned over the years. I've really come to appreciate the online world because just, one, you can get something quickly. I ordered this thing, and when they got it on the truck, the freight guys picked it up in the afternoon in Arkansas, had it loaded on the truck, left. They were in Wisconsin the next day at 8 a.m. dropping it off in my driveway. And I was just like, wow. One weird thing about buying online, and that was a little scary, was I had to wire money to the dealership before I got the tractor. And it was a little crazy because I didn't even sign any papers or anything online. I had a whole email string and, offer acceptance and things like that through email. I did have like an invoice kind of thing in email. But yeah, I had to wire money. So I did a lot of checking and called their bank and all this other and verified wire instructions, wired the money before they shipped it. And it's a little scary to do that. I really wish these dealers would use some sort of like escrow service. I think a lot more people would feel comfortable if an escrow company took the money first instead of me wiring directly and crossing my fingers and hoping a tractor shows up. But I went with Williams Tractor out of Arkansas, and they're great. I called them and emailed back and forth, and the salesman was really responsive and very nice, very friendly. And like I said, they had the best price by far, and they got it shipped to Wisconsin, so I couldn't be happier. So yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to talk about here, just with this overview of the tractor. I'll put a little bit more stats in the video. And yeah, I got to say I'm impressed with it. And if you're looking for a tractor out there, do your homework. There are a ton of options, and it gets sort of like, it makes your mind spin all of the different features and, proprietary technology that each vendor pushes. And you really just got to look for what's going to fit your needs and what you think you can get that you won't outgrow. And I knew if I got a 50 horsepower machine, I'd probably outgrow it pretty quick, because looking at more of the farming implements on the back, if you're doing field work, you're really going to struggle to do fields on anything less than this, like 75 horsepower, less than a 75 horsepower tractor. And I will see if I'm right. I hope I am, but I did not want to get too big of a tractor either, because I wanted this to still be maneuverable. I wanted it to do everything my skid steer could do. And I didn't want a giant tractor. So I was trying to get the smallest thing I could that was capable. So yeah, so what else? What other thoughts? The weight on this tractor is also better than some of the other tractors I was looking at. If you're doing work in a field, you want more weight. You want to put horsepower on the ground. Otherwise, you're going to spin out. If you're trying to plow or till things, you're going to spin out, because it doesn't matter how much horsepower you have. You need a lot of weight. And so this thing weighs like, I think 6,800 pounds without the loader on it. And I believe the loader adds close to 2,000 more pounds to it. And then adding fluid in the tires, it's like 400 pounds on each side. So that's an additional 800 pounds. So this thing is, about 9,000 pounds. It's getting close to 10,000 pounds. So it's not super heavy, but it's heavy enough. And as far as compact tractors go, it's, got a lot more weight to it than the 50 horsepowers that I was looking at, and even the 60 horsepower ones. It's probably about twice as heavy, fully loaded here. Yeah, so I'm hopeful this thing works out great, and I would say initial impressions are very positive, and I'll keep you posted on how things go. Let's go through a few of these different handles here. So here are the rear hydraulics on the for the remotes on the back of the tractor. There's the cigarette lighter. Won't be using that. Lots of room for extra switches and things. Power outlets for, I think there's an always on 30 amp 12 volt power outlet, and then there are smaller power outlets that are only on when you turn the key on for a 12 volt supply. So I think, some of these can run electric tools and monitors and things like that may be associated with your attachment. Here's a PTO activation, raising and lowering the PTO. And then down here, there are these arms that can set the heights of the PTO arm. So if you raise and lower over here, it'll always go back to the same height in the back. So it's like you're plowing at a certain depth. On this side, there's really only a parking brake. That's it. And I'm not really sure what this is. It looks like some sort of power outlet for maybe that's for attachments too. I don't know. Cup holder. This cup holder is weird though. It doesn't even look like it can actually hold a cup or even a can. It looks pretty small. And like I said, we've got the tilt, which is super nice. The clutch pedal, brakes. Here's the throttle accelerator here. And yeah, I think that's about all there is in here. Down here, this is the differential lock that you'll use when you are in a field and you need to keep the tires going at the same rate, or you might be getting stuck in the mud or something. You push that down. I'm used to that from my old compact tractor. A couple steps here. I think the review said that the review I saw on this thing said these steps weren't very good, but you know, I don't see anything wrong with them. They could be a little bigger. That's one thing. And then I'm gonna sit in this buddy seat and just show you sort of the room that one has. It's not a lot, so I'm not very big, or tall, I should say. I'm too big. I'm just not very tall. I'm like 5'9". And you can kind of see I don't have a lot of leg room here, but you know, this is not intended for giant people to ride. It's more of a temporary thing to show folks how the tractor works, and which is awesome because I can have my wife in here with me and she can learn how to drive it. I've trained my father on how to drive this thing already, so he knows how to do it and he can use it. And like I said before, even though the manual specifically says don't let kids ride in this thing, I think like most people will probably let kids ride in this thing. And it has a seat belt, and you know, you just have to use some common sense, I would guess. But it beats the days of old where kids are hanging off the back or the side of the tractor and maybe riding in the bucket, who knows. Yeah, so it has mirrors standard as well. I couldn't believe that there are a lot of tractors that don't have mirrors standard. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. One weird thing that I don't know if I love is to open the hood. You have to press this button in here, and then you pull this, and then the hood lifts up. This tractor has gotten some dings on it, or the cases in general have gotten dings because the oil filter's kind of tough to access, and I'll show you that on the other side. But I do want to show you just the steering setup here. You'll see different places advertising that the steering linkages behind the axle saves, you know, these delicate parts and the hydraulic ram and stuff like that from damage if you hit rocks or if you're in the woods and you hit a stump or something. So that is nice. This is all behind. So just stepping up a little bit to the bigger frame with the 75 horsepower. Everything's a little bit beefier than you're going to get on a compact, and I was happy because the price was the same. So you notice I actually put some paint on the inside of the tires. I know that's pretty tacky, but these are fluid filled tires, so I want to know where the valve is when I'm in the cab so that I can park with the white paint up to add air to these tires. And I had to do that when I first got it. So yeah, let's go around here. So here is that leveling arm I was talking about, and when this divot here goes in here, that's when the bucket's perfectly flat with the ground. Here's where you check the engine oil, and I haven't even looked for where the filter is yet, so I'll get to all this as I use this thing more. But all the linkages on the side to unhook the loader are all right here. I am a little concerned about this because it does stick out quite a ways. You know, if you're in the woods or anything, something hits this. This is where you can do damage with tree limbs and things that break your hoses. So I have to be very careful of that. I don't plan on using this thing in the woods very much because I've got a skid steer and I don't really like to take the tractors, as I mentioned. So yeah, the panels here are plastic, which I like because everybody knows that the metal rusts and things, and I know plastic breaks, but I would prefer that over rusty metal fenders. And then yeah, the back seems to be pretty well put together. One beef I noticed right away, the balls inside of these hitches have like paint on them, and then kind of like right here you can kind of see it's like flakes off, and I know it's new from the factory and it cracks off, but it just, I don't know, it seemed like maybe a sloppy job where they paint the parts that are going to get you know, rubbed a lot or shifted, and you can see right here like same, it's like they just put this bar on and then painted over it, and you know, there's like bare metal here. So just some of those little touches are, you know, leave some things to be desired. But yeah, it's a pretty cool tractor. I'm excited for it, and I again, I'm really impressed with, you know, everything you get for the money. So back here you have these working lights on the back and on the front, and I believe these were standard like this as well. So again, with the compact tractor, in the compact tractor category, you'll be surprised what things are not included. I couldn't believe that. Like, you know, work lights weren't included. You had to add those on. It just is bananas.
Are you actually back there?
Yeah.
They want it inside of.
Yeah,
I mean, no car.
see, there's a
Car.
car. Yeah.
So it's not going to turn. Well, go down because it's not on our side, right?
Yeah.
You know, if it's on our side, it has to go down.
Yeah, but you just gotta be careful.
Yeah, we should be careful.